Jake Paul is somewhat of a controversial figure in the sport of boxing. There's a whole lot of people out there who don't care for him at all. They say that he's a blight on the sport. They don't really like the way of the attention that he brings and the way that he conducts himself. There's people who go so far as to even say that they think the fights are fixed. Look, people can say all kinds of things. They can have their opinions. I'm not one to go so far as to say that the fights are fixed or that there's anything improper going on. And to be perfectly honest, I always typically enjoy the cards. When it's all said and done, the night's over, I got done watching it, I typically look back and say that I enjoyed it, right? Whether or not his fight individually was good, the card as a whole. And look at what he's done for women's boxing in the sense of the exposure that he gave to people like Amanda Serrano. Now we went out and he signed Alicia Baumgartner. Personally, I think he's doing a lot of good things in that sense. I also continually see the progress. So I think the man's taking the sport seriously. He goes out there, he hooks up with legitimate teams. He appears to be training hard. He's consistently getting better. I never, ever, ever think that man is going to hold a world title. He is not a world championship level boxer. We went out there and we saw what happened against Tommy Fury. Look, the Tommy Fury fight was entertaining. I enjoyed it. There's a whole lot of people that I watch that I don't think are ever going to be world champions. Okay, so that's not a prerequisite for me to turn somebody on and enjoy watching their fight, is to think that one day they may get the gold strapped around their waist. I just go out there and I may like watching people for a whole variety of reasons. Personally, I enjoy watching Jake Paul. Now, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., that's a little bit of a different case. I have a little bit of disappointment when I think about that man. And that's because the potential, right? I was a huge fan of Senior, watching his father grow when I was young and watching the things that he was doing. Then he comes into the ring and I saw the potential right away. I mean, it was obvious. Look at what he was doing in the run that he went on back when he was training with Freddie Roach. He was over at the wild card. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., man, when he was on, when he was disciplined, when he was in the gym, when he was training, when he was putting it together, the man used to be able to go out there and put in some good performances. Now, he was never as good as his pops, never appeared that he was on that trajectory. There's a whole lot of people that were better than him. Nevertheless, he was an entertaining fighter. He was a world championship level fighter when he was locked in and he was disciplined and he was making things happen. And the fight that I always point to, it's when I think he was at the height of his powers, was when he went out there and he whooped Andy Lee. That was no small task. Andy Lee was a beast, man. Being able to go out there and do what he did, Chavez Jr. proved a lot. Now, since then, it's been a heck of a fall off, man, right? For a variety of reasons. And I'm not trying to knock the man at all, but when you look at the lack of discipline that has been displayed in training camps and in the rings, what trainers and coaches and teammates have said about him, he's had the addiction issues and he was getting caught with drugs and going into rehab and all different kinds of things. It's definitely a case of wasted potential in a lot of ways. And look, boxing is no stranger to that. We can look back. One of the cases that I always point to is Francisco Bojado. I mean, to those of you who don't know him, please go out there and check him out. Man, the dude was amazing. But for a variety of reasons, never really went anywhere. So look, that happens all the time in the sport. And I'm sure Junior is going to go out here and he's going to get paid with this fight, but he's not going to win. I don't think that he has what it takes at this point in his career, with this age, with all the wear and tear he's put his body through, the lack of training, the lack of discipline that he possesses, the lack of discipline that I'm sure he exercised even during this camp. I don't think that he's going to be able to go out there and beat a young guy like Jake Paul, who's naturally bigger, who's also very athletic. He's got some strength. He's got some hand speed. He's got some power, and he can put his shots together. He's been training more consistently and working with a team, and all of the differences between them. Like, I don't think Chavez Jr. is going to be able to go out there and win this fight, even though when you take whatever point Jake Paul tops out at, whether that was last week, this fight with Chavez Jr., or 2 years from now, whenever it is that he is at his absolute best, you take Jake Paul at his absolute best, and then you go back and you take the version of that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. showed when he fought Andy Lee. That version of Chavez Jr. will always be far better than whatever we see from Jake Paul. But when we're talking about them going out here and fighting each other right now at this point, I think Jake Paul comes away with the victory. So let me know what you guys think. Are you disgusted by Jake Paul even being a part of the sport? Do you enjoy watching him and seeing what he does? What do you think is going to happen in this one? Let me know what you guys think.